Pop quiz. What is the second most important asset that you can develop for your author career? I think the single most important asset has to be the books you write, because that's the foundation for everything else. But a very close second is your email list, because to this day, it remains the only communication tool which you can develop that you truly own, which means that it's the only truly reliable foundation that you can build your author career and your connection to your readers and growing fan base over time upon. The most successful author newsletters that I have seen follow a systematic approach that I've come to call the Attract, Orient, Engage framework. And I know it works because I've used this framework to build an email list of almost 40,000 engaged subscribers of my own, which has served as the springboard for different elements of my writing career, including launching a successful 5-figure Kickstarter for my fantasy series, which I am absolutely certain I would not have been able to do without my email list. So in this video, I'm going to break down that framework in a specific and applicable way that you can use today to start growing your author email list as a strong foundation for your author career for years to come. When I talk to struggling authors, a lot of times I hear them focusing a lot on the emails that they are sending to the list they already have, thinking about subject lines, templates, content, etc. But I think that misses the critical first stage of growing your email list, which begins long before you actually have any subscribers to speak of. And that is phase 1, which is attract. You have to answer the question of where you're going to find your ideal readers and how you are going to entice them to go from being just people out there in the world or on the internet to actually becoming subscribers of your specific email list. To help you do that, let me break down 3 compounding tips that have worked well for me over the years to attract and grow my own list. Starting off with tip number 1, which is to develop a strategic lead magnet ecosystem. One of the most critical things to understand about reader psychology and behavior, and to effectively attract new readers, is to put yourself in their shoes and think about how excited you are or how interested you are in signing up for yet another email list. The answer, if you're like most of us, is probably, please gag me with a spoon, I would rather do anything else. Our inboxes are constantly flooded by noise and volume, so you have to think about what kind of value you can offer that your ideal reader will desperately want and appreciate that you gave them. So in our case, that value probably needs to relate to our books, because that is the whole reason that we are gathering an email list in the first place. And this is a perfect opportunity for you as a creative writer to get creative and to develop some additional types of supporting or expanding material for your books and story worlds. Some examples that I have used and found particularly effective are to write a short prequel novella or short story that illuminates a moment in your world or a window into one of your characters' pasts. For my Farshire Chronicles series, I wrote a short story centered around a really critical moment in my protagonist's early childhood, which I offer exclusively through my website as a download that people can get and read for signing up for my mailing list. You could also write a collection of deleted scenes or alternative endings, character interviews, dossiers, biographies, a series guide, recipes, or other kinds of world building, windows, or valuable elements. Again, put yourself in the shoes of your ideal reader and think, if I was them, what would I actually perk up at when I saw it offered to me and be excited about? Assuming that I loved this story that I had read, what more could I offer them? And one of the things that you'll notice that all of those ideas have in common is that they center around and leverage the idea of exclusivity. All of those elements aren't included in the books that you're offering for sale on Amazon. They're special, cool, extra things that are available for free, but are only available to people who actually come and connect with you and become part of your world and your author ecosystem in a more engaged way by giving you their email and joining your list. I highly recommend having more than one lead magnet, even if you only have one book that you're launching with. Offer a few different types of valuable assets that might connect with different types of reader interests so that you cast a wider net and have a higher likelihood of capturing your reader's interest and attention and enticing them to come and join your list. And once you do that, you're ready to apply tip number 2, which is to optimize your book's back matter for email list conversions. Back matter is all the stuff in your book that comes after you type the end. Typically, there's at least an author bio, but it's actually a perfect place to put a little bit of bait to entice your reader. They just finished your story. Hopefully, they loved it to death, and in that wonderful afterglow of a satisfying conclusion to a great book, they are the most likely to be interested in hearing more from you. That is the perfect place to promote and highlight all of the great lead magnets that you just developed in tip number 1. If they just finished the story and maybe there's a lingering question or a really fun secondary character that they might be interested in learning more about, or seeing a window into the story from their perspective, or all the other elements of stuff that you've developed to enhance and enrich the overall world of this story you just told them, show it to them right there in your back matter by creating a couple of compelling pages with easy links that bring them straight to your website on a nice page that highlights exactly what those elements are in a little bit more detail and invites them to put in their email to get that cool stuff from you. And by optimizing your back matter in that way, you can help ensure that all the hard work that you do to actually get sales of your books, or even reviews and free reads of your books, have the potential to turn into a longer term relationship with exactly your ideal reader, because anybody who actually finished your book is probably your ideal reader. And once you have that set up correctly, it becomes much more worth your time to spend some time and energy on tip number 3 for this attract phase, which is to engage in newsletter swaps with other authors. If I was starting out my author email list brand new today in 2025, the very first thing I would do is go create new accounts on BookFunnel and Story Origin. And by the time you're watching this, there may be other good platforms as well, but those are two I've personally had a lot of success with because they provide a wonderful space for authors to connect with each other to help each other promote their work to their different reader bases. Generally, the way they work is that authors work together to offer free books or other kinds of valuable content to each other's audiences in their newsletters in exchange for email signups. This way, instead of trying to convince the random mass of all the faceless internet peoples out there to give your book a try, you can specifically target established readers of your genre by finding authors who write similar or comparable work to yours, because you can be pretty sure that their readers, if they like their books, will probably like your books as well, and vice versa. If you have a good lead magnet on offer, and the back matter of your books are optimized, then joining at least one newsletter promotion a month through those platforms can become an incredibly effective strategy for a more consistent organic growth over time. And I've personally used that approach to add thousands of engaged readers to my email list. And the wonderful thing is that while this strategy does require a fair amount of time and energy and effort and consistency, it doesn't require any money. So it's a fantastic starting point to begin building your list, especially if you're a newer author who's kind of getting started. Now, there are obviously a lot of other strategies which you can also implement, but these 3 tips give you a really strong foundation to continually work at the process of finding, attracting, and gathering new readers into your email list so that you can stay connected with them and build relationship with them over time to support your author career for the long haul. But that, of course, begs the question, what do you do with those readers once they've joined your mailing list? And the answer to that question leads us into our second critical phase, which is all about orienting. The orienting phase is all about welcoming and connecting with your new subscribers effectively, and it's critically important because there really isn't much point in putting a ton of time, energy, and effort into attracting new readers to your mailing list if you aren't going to do anything to immediately connect with them while you are fresh in their minds and the fact that they just subscribed to your mailing list is fresh in their mind. If someone subscribes to your author email list and then they don't hear from you for 3 weeks until the next time you send out a mass mailing about a book promotion, the odds are extremely high that they won't even remember who you are or the fact that they subscribed to your list in the first place. Or if they do remember, they might have lost some of that initial warm, fuzzy connection feeling that drew them to join your list in the first place, making them much less likely to open or read or respond to your emails. And the most effective way to consistently orient your new readers well is to implement a strong reader journey automation sequence. Regardless of what email platform you're using, it should offer you the basic ability to pre-write and pre-schedule a series of emails that begin automatically sending to a new subscriber once they join your list, which is the perfect way to sort of curate their orientation or onboarding initial connection experience with you in a more thoughtful and purposeful way. This is your opportunity to help your readers get to know a little bit more about you and your creative journey, to connect with you and begin to form a relationship with you as the author of those books that they so enjoyed. It's also your opportunity to continue to give them value in various forms by either pointing them towards other elements of your free reader magnets or different components that they might want or appreciate from you, or by offering them exclusive free downloads of your books or discount codes for your books in some different ways that give them an incentive to continue reading your work. And the beautiful thing about setting this up as an automated reader journey is that you can really take your time to craft emails that work well, that when you're not under the pressure to fire off another one to hit your deadline, but you can step back and invest some serious time and energy into crafting an effective sequence that connects and entertains and illuminates and reveals who you are and invites your readers to connect with you in those ways, and set them up so that every time, even if someone joins, in the middle of the night when you're asleep, they begin getting that sequence in that way, and you can ensure that every reader has the opportunity, at least, to become more oriented and connected to you as a writer and to the world of your stories that's available to them. And then once you've developed your systems for both attracting new readers and then orienting them and getting the initial dynamics of your connection and relationship with them established well, you're ready to move into the third phase, which is long-term engagement. I think the most effective way to think about your email list is as an ongoing conversation with a room full of really cool people who happen to like a lot of the same things that you like. Because if they like your books and you as an author, then odds are you actually have quite a bit in common with the people who are on your mailing list. Think of them as real people, not just as mouse cursors hovering over the buy button for the next pre-order of your next book release. Consumers these days are very savvy. We are all very well conditioned by the constant barrage of buy, and ads and competing demands for our attention and our dollars. And we are very good at sniffing out inauthentic or manipulative motivations in the communications that we receive. So be very careful not to include that. Make sure that for every "Hey, I have a new book coming out," or "Hey, I have a sale going on" email that you send, you're balancing that with multiple other emails that are just focused on providing authentic, value-driven content. And value doesn't have to just be monetary. Value can be entertainment or inspiration or a moment of human connection that you offer your readers through a thoughtfully crafted email, providing a window into your day or your journey, or connecting them to other cool resources or things that you think they might like. In order to help you do this, let me share 3 important strategies which you should think about and apply to your ongoing rhythm of long-term email content to help you engage with your readers. And the first is consistency. It's critically important that you establish a consistent email sending rhythm. I think it is optimal to send your emails on the same day of the week. Not that you have to send weekly emails necessarily. You could send a larger monthly newsletter or a bi-weekly email, but establishing that expectation of "I get Justin's emails on Fridays" is really important. And yes, life will happen and you might miss one here or there, but do everything you can to set your sending rhythm and then stick to it so that readers know what to expect from you. The second strategy is to work at developing your authentic email voice. In the same way that you want your books within a series to have a consistent voice and tone, you want to work at doing the same thing within your emails. Your email voice should sound like a natural extension of your normal communication voice and style in ways that are easy for you to sustain authentically. Don't try to sound like something you're not. If you're sarcastic and funny, then be sarcastic and funny. If you're not, don't try to be, because even if you can pull it off for 1 or 2 emails, the odds of you being able to sustain an inauthentic voice over the long term are really low. And readers are going to pick up on that. Again, think of this as communicating with a friend who loves the same kinds of books that you love, because ideally you love your books. What would you tell them if you were hanging out over coffee and they wanted to hear what was on your mind or what you'd been up to in the past week? Talk about those things in that way, and I think you'll find that that over time you zero in on a voice for your email style that feels authentic to you and gives your readers a chance to really connect with you and feel like they're actually getting to know the real you. And third, apply your creativity. You're a writer. Use those skills in your emails. Don't just fill your emails with news and updates and promotions and announcements. Instead of sending your 15th "I have a book coming out" email, consider sending an email that opens with something like, "I was sitting in a bus stop in the pouring rain and all I could think about was the next scene in my book." And then expand on that to give your readers a window into a scene or a moment that you had so much fun writing in your book as the lead up to telling them that that book is about to come out. Thinking creatively and in a value-focused way about the content of your emails will help ensure that your readers look forward to receiving them, appreciate reading them, and value the ongoing opportunity to connect with you and hear from you rather than start to get tired of being sold to all the time. Here's a quick rundown of different types of non-promotional, value-driven content that I have used in my own newsletters effectively and that I've seen a lot of my other author friends use really well in their own newsletters. You could share the story behind a character or a setting or an element of your plot. You could talk a little bit about books you've enjoyed reading recently in your genre that you think they might enjoy as well. You could share a little window into your writing process or routine. In my own newsletters, a lot of times as a dad of 2 young girls, I end up including little windows or updates about the ways that I am experiencing the process of introducing my kids to the incredible rich world of storytelling and things that I'm sharing with them or experiencing in that process, because that's a really important part of my life right now. And so sharing windows of the ways that that is adjacent to or connects with both my author journey and just the larger process of being readers who love stories and books is a really fun way to connect that part of my life into my emails sometimes. You could talk about challenges that you've overcome in your author journey in different ways, or early inspirations that inspired your storytelling. All of these are examples of ways to provide your readers with a chance to get to know you, to give them something meaningful, to give them a little window in their day that was a bright spot, that you were a source of value or inspiration or entertainment or positivity or something that they just appreciated in their day. And if you can ensure that the vast majority of the emails that you send accomplish that, then when you do have an email saying, "My book releases tomorrow, last chance to pre-order," you will have an audience of hungry, eager readers who are grateful to you and like you and are looking forward to the next story that you've given them these interesting organic windows into how you wrote it and what's inside of it, that they just cannot wait to come and get it from you as soon as it's ready. One author friend of mine who's a romance novelist sends a monthly email that includes a set of deleted scenes that didn't make it into the final draft of her book, because that's sort of how her writing process tends to work. And she frames it as sort of an editor's or director's cut that is only available to subscribers, and her open rates on those emails consistently will exceed 60 or 70% open rate on a really large list, because those readers know that they're getting something exclusive that they value and look forward to and enjoy, rather than they're just getting marketed to. Hey, Editing Justin here with one quick note about something I completely forgot to include in the video while I was filming it, and that is to emphasize that a lot of the tips that I'm covering in this video I learned from a fantastic book called Newsletter Ninja by Tammy Labrecque. And that book includes a whole ton of other fantastic and really valuable strategies and advice and approaches in psychology about how to think about your newsletter. So if you want to go a lot deeper on this topic, then I highly recommend that you go get that book and read it cover to cover, because you will learn a ton from it. And I hope that helps you. So yes, back to the video. And there you have it, my complete framework for how I would work at building a new mailing list in 2025 if I had to start from scratch. Consistent strategies to attract new readers onto your mailing list, an effective automation sequence to orient your new subscribers, and then a consistent strategy for engaging with your readers in the long term in a value-driven way. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to grow the channel and help other authors find it as well. And I would love to hear from you. Which of these tips are you most excited to implement, and what other questions do you have about growing your email list or promoting your books in today's market? I would love to hear from you, and I always try to read and answer every comment that I get on the videos. And until next time, happy writing and happy email list building.